Today we're going to talk about immigrating to Paraguay. I'm Gerald Summer and I'm here with Enzo Melgarejo, and we're going to be talking about the immigration trends, like immigration norms. I'm going to be talking about our clients who are immigrating from their native countries to Paraguay. Enzo is going to talk to us about what he's seeing in Ciudad del Este, some of the trends there, and why Ciudad del Este is so different from Asuncion, right? So let's start out talking a little bit about like our clientele and why they're moving to Paraguay. You can guess, people have individual reasons for moving to Paraguay, including political turmoil, economic challenges. People are also moving for religious reasons or lack of religious identity being present in Europe. We talked about this before, a little bit privately and stuff, why people are leaving Europe because of a lack of culture these days. There is just a big disconnect. And so people are just looking for a country they can call home. And I think Paraguay is the perfect country for Catholics. Paraguay is the perfect country for Christians. Paraguay is a Christian country. It's a Catholic country. And, you know, we've talked about now our clients, why they're moving here. And like people are really coming for all kinds of reasons. We even have people who are moving here for lifestyle reasons. Like the food quality here is really good. You know, when I first came to Paraguay, I was really surprised by how European it is, and food is delicious, it's nutritious. I'm talking about like fruits and veggies is much more organic than in the US where I live in Texas. To me, this is a better mousetrap, you know? So I understand why Americans move from the US to Paraguay. A lot of them don't move for taxes. They don't want to renounce US citizenship. It's not important to them, but they move to create a better quality of life. That's why they're coming to Paraguay. Obviously, taxes are part of it, but it's not everything. Paraguay is very low cost, right? Yeah. Especially if you come from the West. And we talked about this in the previous video we did today, how Paraguay is the second cheapest country in whole Latin America, I think. It's one of the cheapest in the region, and you can get a lot of good value from Paraguay. Now, please, Enzo, talk to us about like Ciudad del Este and the immigration trends that you see in Ciudad del Este, and how is it different from Asuncion?
Well, for those of you who don't know, Ciudad del Este is a city that is located around 350 kilometers away from Asuncion, on the other corner, right with the border with Brazil. It's located less than 10 kilometers away from the cataracts of Iguazu, which makes it a prime touristic destination. Everyone wants to go there, stays in Ciudad del Este, buys electronics, crosses the border, goes and sees the cataract. It's on a zone called the Triple Frontier between Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. So there's a lot of trade there. And Ciudad del Este, also another fact people don't know, it's a free trade zone. So there's no taxes of any kind.
No taxes.
Of any kind.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
So people love it there. They go buy electronics. They say it's the third largest free trade zone in the world, only after Hong Kong and Miami. Around half the Paraguayan GDP gets moved there yearly. So it's a lot of money we're talking about. And yeah, there's a lot of immigration that normally people wouldn't think of it that way. For example, there's a lot of Middle Eastern migration over there. There's a huge percentage of Lebanon nationals, Syrian nationals, but they migrated 30 years ago, but they're still in huge numbers. There's also Brazilians that cross there every day, huge numbers of them, Argentinians, Turkish people, there's Chinese people, Taiwanese people, Japanese people. There's really every single nationality you can think of working there, migrating there. They're putting their grade on sand there. And yeah, it's improving the economy of the area. Back in the 70s, this city didn't exist. It didn't exist. Now it's the second biggest city in Paraguay with, I think, 500,000 citizens, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was created in order to have for Paraguay to have a closer point to the Atlantic and to the ports of Brazil. And then it became a free trade zone. And yeah, it's just a city that's in constant growth. I would say the most international city in Paraguay. And yeah, immigration from everywhere.
Very interesting facts that you mentioned. Here, Asuncion is different. Like you've pointed out how the people who live here in Asuncion, they're more stable. They're looking to really live here. Here, immigration is not so diverse. Yeah. It's more local, it's more Paraguayan, and it's different. Now, what we also see from our clients, it's a very interesting fact. that has started to occur since the past crisis. We've seen a lot of people leaving their countries for a number of reasons. They were not for certain policies. They didn't agree to those policies. And simultaneously, they saw how liberal Paraguay was during the past crisis. And now these people prefer having a home in Paraguay. They have residency in Paraguay, which comes with a lot of benefits, like a territorial tax system where foreign sourced income is excluded from local taxation. That's one of the biggest points for the younger generation. We have a lot of clients who are like 23 now, also more that are like in the early or mid 20s. Before we didn't, but now we're getting more of them, which is interesting. But no matter how old you are, if you have some kind of location independent business and you want to relocate to a country that is tax friendly, there's probably few places that are as qualified as Paraguay, because we've talked about this too in a former video, how you can deduct all your personal expenses that incur during your time here in Paraguay from the local taxes that you pay. So this is different, right? You have the foreign sourced income and then you have the locally sourced income. You don't pay any taxes on the foreign sourced income at all. But what I'm talking about is the locally sourced income where
income.
Yeah, exactly. The personal income tax where you can take, say, you bought a computer here, right? Or you bought a sofa, or you paid for rent, you paid for food. You can deduct all of this from your taxable income in Paraguay. And then whatever money is left over, you pay taxes on that. Yeah. If you can maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so let's make an example, right? Let's say you go to the store and buy a carton of milk for 10,000 guaranis. Your VAT would be 10% of that. Well, actually 5% only, so because it's food, it's only 5%. So it would be 500 guaranis. So let's say then you have your personal income tax, you made $10,000 and your personal income tax would be 10% of that. So $1,000. So you can deduct those 500 guaranis from that $1,000 you have to pay by the end of the year, just by taking your factura, we call it, your paper, saving it, presenting to the tax authorities, and you're free. You don't have to pay that anymore.
Right. And you do that through your personal RUC number,
yeah.
Right? So whenever you go out here in Paraguay and you pay for something, you know, we talked about water and food and that kind of stuff, you give them your RUC number and they're going to ask you for your name, your RUC number, and you keep all these facturas, like you said. And at the end of the tax year, you can then give all these facturas, the invoices, the payment slips to your accountant or whoever does your accounting, and they're going to deduct all of this from your taxable income, reducing it to very, very little. You know, of course, if you have major income and let's say your living expenses are kept at a bare minimum, you're going to have to pay more in local taxes if the income is generated locally. But again, you know, as I've mentioned, with the foreign sourced income, you don't pay any taxes. Yeah. You pay nothing. So, and sometimes you come from like the US, you come from Canada, from Europe, Australia, and you're like, I don't want to get involved with any tax processes overseas. I don't want to file for taxes. But if you really think about it, and I'm filing taxes in a lot of countries because we have companies, I'm doing it for myself personally in the US. You know what a nightmare that is every year? I have to disclose all my foreign bank accounts to the IRS. Everything that I have overseas, no matter if it's a bank account, if I store gold, if it's some kind of trading account, I have to report all of this to the US government. I have to report the maximum value of any given day, not of any given day, but the maximum value of the day, you know, where I just had the most money in the account. I have to report all of this. I have to give the account number, the name on the account, where it's located, the type of account, the maximum value I had in the account over the year. I have to report all of this. It's a nightmare. In Paraguay, you don't have to do that. Now, if you're an American abroad and you have not renounced US citizenship, you still have to do it anyway. The only way how you can avoid all of this from being implemented is when you renounce your citizenship. I don't recommend you to renounce your citizenship because it's your native country, right? I mean, unless you're naturalized. I think asking someone to renounce their citizenship is a big question, is a big request, because sometimes, you know, some people tell you, hey, you can renounce your citizenship, but I'm not for that. But if you're a US citizen abroad and you have bank accounts in other countries, you have to disclose them, right? But I'm just saying, if you come to Paraguay and you're not a US citizen, if you're from Canada, from the European Union, South Africa, you're from Australia, New Zealand, you don't have to do that. So just having this peace of mind, and this is usually one of the biggest factors where people say, I want to move to Paraguay because I no longer have to do this, you know? It's tedious. Here, no. It's actually pretty simple. So if you want to immigrate to Paraguay to enjoy the low local taxes, territorial tax system, you want to live in a country that embraces freedom, please contact us. You should see our website displayed right on the screen. There's also a link in the description of the video. We would love to work with you and help you obtain residency in Paraguay. Thank you, Enzo, for your input. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.